should be going live here in a minute. Okay, we should be live. Welcome, one and all, to another watch party.
Good evening, everybody.
And with me today is James for this wonderful, quote unquote, wonderful tribute
Whatever the hell
to
it is.
whatever the hell it is. This is basically our tribute to David Lynch, who passed away a couple days ago, a week ago. And this was one of his very first movies. So we are going to go from there and we will see what y'all think. So, all right, James, you want to count us down?
Oh crikey! Do we go? Do we go on one or after one?
We'll go on three, two, one, go. We'll go after one.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So, okay. Now, can everybody see and hear us okay? Because I think from my end it looks good. Okay, so James, you have not seen this movie, have you?
It's one of the David Lynch films I've not seen. I'll admit he's not really my jam as a director because he doesn't tend to focus on things that I might think are important in storytelling, like characterization, dialogue, and plot. But it's good on imagery.
That is a very fair assessment. And if you're more familiar with his later work, then you are familiar with his style, his way of storytelling.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I would have been introduced to him by season 1 of Twin Peaks when that hit the BBC back in the day, and
uh,
then
yeah, back in the day.
and then after that, June and probably Blue Velvet. That's I think Blue Velvet probably the most accessible of his David Lynch films.
That was one of his most, what is it? His first blockbuster hit, I guess I could say that. His first, yeah, let's just call it that. That's the first blockbuster that put him on the map, so to speak.
Well, he
Uh,
we had Elephant Man, which got him awards nominations. That got him noticed by Dino De Laurentiis. That got him June. That being a multi-picture deal, even though June bombed, got him Blue Velvet, where he was just kind of left alone to do his weird severed ear laughing gas thing.
yeah, that was weird. So yeah, David was all over the place as a director. So this movie that came out in 1977, he basically wrote, produced, directed on a shoestring budget. And so there was a comment. Old Johnny Devick said, "Can we watch it at 2 times speed?" That would crank it through a lot faster. Um,
It's only an 80-minute film.
it's just under an hour and a half, and it it is what it is.
Well,
And let's just
Matt saying that other than the Twin Peaks watch party, the only Lynch movie he'd seen was June, and he didn't go to that based on it being a Lynch film. Except, of course, depending on which cut you watch, it might be an Alan Smithy film.
and you know what? And I had a feeling going into today's movie, it's been heralded as one of the best movies of all time. Everybody just thinks it's this wonderful artsy movie and it's just the pinnacle of his career. However, however, it can be very divisive. So I have a feeling it will be one of those If you haven't seen it before, hey, if you haven't seen it before, shout out in the chat if this is your first time. Um, and we'll kind of get that opinion at the end of it,
I think Mad
whether it
Max
is
very strongly coming out for this is two thumbs down.
exactly. Um, back in the day, I did not see this in the theater back in 1977, but it did make its rounds on the rental market. So I probably saw it first way back when. Yeah, Mad Matt made a comment, if artsy equals boring, sometimes that's what happens. They call the artsy fartsy. It could be good, it could be bad.
I think if you
So
get some people who podcasters I listen to, like Mike Munzer on the evolution of horror, he really loves David Lynch and David Lynch films. He had a podcast out last week, commemorating David's life and being sorry about his death. And even though he really loves all the films, he was sort of saying how with each one, the first time he's seen them, he really doesn't get them. They kind of might even irritate and disappoint him. But then every time he's come back, he's found more and more things. And I don't know what we've just found, but it looks like the start of Who's Talking, where the Bruce Willis sperm attacked the egg.
yeah, and it's with a lot of David Lynch's stuff, you just don't know what you're seeing the first time you're watching it, and it's hard to wrap your head around it. And it does sometimes take watching it several times to put it together.
Because I know either that and
So,
I watched Lost Highway, where one moment you're watching a film noir about a murder with Bill Pullman, and suddenly Bill Pullman's turned into Balthazar Getty, and you're just sitting there going, "What's going on? What's happening?"
and all you can think is, well, it's a David Lynch movie. So obviously he's made it like intellectually up here. So I'm missing something when,
And we're glimpsing now our first look at Kramer from Seinfeld.
um, yeah, that hair is unmistakable. That is Kramer hair. So this is our, I guess you'd call him a
Moved to
protagonist.
torment Jerry, he lived in this post-industrial hellscape.
And this is filmed in black and white. And in some of the scenes, I had a hard time you distinguishing the scenes because it's just so dark. And you really want to make out what's happening. You want to be able to see everything. So you might just adjust your contrast, I guess. So we'll see. Um, so yeah, this is our protagonist, Henry
Or as we'll call him, Kramer.
Kramer. Um, and the thing about this movie is, well, as with all these watch parties, I watched the movie muted with subtitles. And with this movie,
Musical notes, square brackets, fades.
yep. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything by putting the subtitles on this movie. So someone, I mean, in the chat, you could correct me if I'm wrong. If it's vital that we hear this movie, I know some of the undertones of this movie come through. So I might be missing out on those. What I got to say for this movie is I really feel for Henry. This is how I felt in high school. I didn't have the pocket protector, but this is how I felt.
Was your high school in a post-industrial hellscape?
It was not. Sure felt like that though. You know, high school is just, some people get through unscathed. It was rough. So we are about to be introduced to Henry's life. Miss Swift says mine was your high school was a
Post-industrial hellscape.
post-industrial hellscape. I hear you.
Nice carpet or tiles. Very overlooked hotel.
One comment on this movie, I believe one of the production artists, um, his name escapes me. I think Fink um, is Sissy Spacek's husband, who worked, I believe, worked on Carrie with her, and I think Carrie was Sissy Spacek up for the role of Mary. I can't remember if she was up for that role, but Fink did the some of the work on this film. So, what is, if anyone out there is also a fan of Lynch, what is your favorite movie, TV show? What is your favorite of his works? And why?
Controversial choice from me. The Straight Story.
The Street Story.
Richard Farnsworth travelling across America on a ride-on lawnmower. Based on a true
True
story,
story.
Disney movie, and the least David Lynch of all of David Lynch's films.
That sounds like a documentary.
It's sweet, lovely, and funny, which are things that you can't really say for Mulholland Drive or Inland Empire.
Right.
It also has a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
So the Straight Story came out in 1999. I believe I have heard of that. I had heard of the True Story though, but have not seen that movie.
Hmm. And it's
Okay.
interesting because a lot of people who don't like me don't really gel with the rest of David Lynch's cinema will say that's their favourite film of his because it's the most like a normal, accessible movie.
That's exactly what I would have said, normal. But of course, when you're watching a Lynch production, you're not expecting normal. You're expecting what we're getting here on Eraserhead.
Which is
Not
which is why after that I would probably have opted for either the Elephant Man, where he was a director for hire, and it's kind of got his style on a coherent biographical story, or Blue Velvet, which has his style, but he's also telling a pretty coherent story, even if it does have all the usual dream logic stuff.
mhm. That's so true. So true.
Plus, it has Dennis Hopper, who makes everything he's in brilliant.
he's he's a good actor. I had to revisit Blue Velvet. With all of Lynch's work to choose from, I figured this would be a great way to just kind of honor him. Not a lot of people that I know have seen this movie because it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So this is Lynch in his beginning phase, and he often has said this is his most what realistic or most true to his
Well,
nature movie
it's the
favorite movie.
one. It's the one that would be least likely to be shown on modern day television,
Mhm,
simply because
exactly.
it's black and white. I mean, if they won't show Casablanca on network television anymore, because it's black and white and audiences won't like it. They're not going to show this.
This has some controversial scenes that would probably have to get cut out for network television anyway. It could manage it on cable, and some
I,
heavy duty themes.
I
That's
think
for
I
sure.
think I think over here it would be fine on what I call the network television channels, but it just now wouldn't be shown because it's black and white, or if it was, it would be tucked away on one of the digital channels at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't recall this ever being.
Oh, great movie suggestion there from Mad Matt. Dennis Hopper in Space Truckers. I'd be up for that.
That is a great suggestion.
Stuart Gordon, Dennis Hopper, Charles Dance, Square Pigs. What's not to love?
Well, let me put that on the list. So I'm turning away from the movie, and I probably didn't miss anything. That's the good thing about this movie. It is very slow paced. You could look away and not miss anything.
The machinery is still clanking and rumbling.
And that's the undertone, I think, throughout most of the movie, that clanking.
Well, I think I remember David Lynch in one of the documentaries about him saying that he loved going around factories, working factories, abandoned factories, taking photos of them. And that if he had a choice of somewhere to go on holiday and it came down to between a factory and Disney World, well, he wouldn't be joining Andrew Dalton in Disney World. He'd be
Ooh.
at this desolate factory.
I believe that scene was this shot, I think, in LA, in some of the underbellies of LA.
Well, that would fit with it being a post industrial hellscape.
Yeah. So we really haven't been introduced to a plot yet. Oh yeah, old Johnny Devick says Factory World coming soon in a Disney World near you. A post-industrial world coming to Disney World.
Yeah, getting on for 20 minutes in, and nothing much has happened. Well,
This
when I say nothing much, I am exaggerating colossally.
it's yeah, he's still setting the pace and tone of the movie. We're getting kind of a glimpse of who he is. We have dialogue now.
The pace glacial, the tone depressing.
Yep. Nobody is smiling. Nobody looks happy. And there has been a lot of speculation that this movie was a manifestation of one of Lynch's nightmares, specifically around him becoming a new father. And I've also heard where he debunks that. And he says this movie is basically whatever it is you want it to be. So, yeah, it can be, yeah. Oh, Jack,
In a way, I kind of can like the attitude that if you're not getting a film, it's not because you're too stupid to get it or something.
right.
You've just got to find what you want it to be. On the other hand, I do kind of think that the artist creating something has to be putting something there that they want you to see.
Yep. And And there was a point where Lynch said that he made this movie without really thinking of the audience, what the audience is going to take from it, how they're going to react. But his content later on was more geared towards, well, how am I going to be an effective storyteller to the audience, and how are they going to grasp this?
No,
So
from what I've seen of his later films, I'm not really convinced that he made that journey.
in his mind, maybe, you know. Um, oh, you know what? How far into the movie are we? Well, let me do a shout out to everybody in the chat, because I see a name that I have not seen before. So we
Is that,
have
is
Miss
that
Swift, old Johnny Devick. Yeah, how do you pronounce that? Jape Nape?
I would
Yeah,
say it's Jackanape.
Jack Canape. Okay. Yeah,
Jackanape.
give us a shout out. How do we pronounce that? We have Eric, Johnny Devick, Mad Matt, Miss Swift. And who am I missing? Calbot's in there too. Am I missing anybody? Eric is
Is
there.
anyone else
Calbot
over on Discord?
and Discord. I see Calbot.
Jackanape is also on Discord.
Mm-hmm. Eric Calbot. So we've got quite a crew, and I love seeing new faces. I love seeing new people show up,
New handles.
new handles. Let's see. Yep, Miss Swift is here. Alex is on Discord. Yep. So we've got a lively discussion in both places. Okay, so this is one of those scenes. This guy just kind of shows up out of nowhere, and it doesn't seem like he has much to offer. But again, he's in there for a reason. I guess he's the cook. He's going to be bringing out dinner. Oh, thank you very much. I'm probably going to botch the name, but Jape, what is it? Jape Canape? Says, can I say thank you for picking up the watch parties? You are very welcome. It is my pleasure doing it. This has been a part of my Sundays for years, and didn't want to let it slip through the cracks.
So, is it normal to have a dead old woman with a mixing bowl in the kitchen?
I get the feeling she's not dead. She represents something in Lynch's nightmares. I can almost picture the nightmare that Lynch might have been having in his kind of warped brain, where this character would suddenly show up, and she's going to smoke a cigarette in a minute or two, but not really smoke a cigarette. Yeah, that's not how you smoke a cigarette. Yeah, Eric says, yeah, well, she's doing her part. She's holding the bowl. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, Matt says, bring out your dead. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could go on and on about this movie. I love breaking down movies layer by layer. In my head, everything on the screen has a meaning, has a place. There's a reason why Lynch used these tones, used these characters, used these actors to play the characters this way. And then part of me just says, you know what? Screw that. This is such a weird movie. We could just sit back and enjoy it.
You see,
And
because I was going to strike back against the claim it all has meaning by saying that guy has a haircut like Kramer from Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a sitcom about nothing. Why
yep,
couldn't this be a movie about nothing?
it really could be. If as a filmmaker, sometimes all you have is an idea and you want to get it out there. So this could just be, here it is. This is what I made. I had a dream about this. I put this on paper. Here you go, world. Um, that is not like a regular chicken. That is not even close to a baby chicken. We don't even know what that is.
If it wasn't for the wiggling legs and the slime coming out of it, it could be a little poisson or something.
And it could be, diving a little deeper, it could be a representation of parenthood and a little baby chicken. Just as we had the dog before nursing her puppies. Okay, this lady is weird. This laugh of hers is just beyond. It's a pigeon. Yes, that could be a pigeon. So there's this whole undercurrent story of
So, so, so,
anxiety of
so
parenthood.
essentially, we just get random disgusting things
Yes.
that could be showing some sort of obsession with and repulsion from sex and reproduction.
Yes. Yes. So what I have heard is that this movie is based on the anxiety uh, about being a father, parenthood. And anybody else out there who is a parent, we have gone through that. The stages of don't think we can do it. What if I do something wrong?
Oh
Um,
my god, it's a mutant chicken. I mean,
it's
that's a
a,
pretty bad stage to go
it's a
through.
mutant baby. How am I going to take care of it? And that just that undercurrent fear of being a parent. And it seems to be the theme through the movie, but you could also take it to mean absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
And as we go into this movie, it's very clear why it's not the blockbuster that some of his other movies are. Um, I think the pacing is. We could actually watch this at 2 times the speed and still not miss anything. I have a feeling.
I, c-
Um,
I mean, I can see from the style and the look why Mel Brooks saw this and thought this might be the guy to do Elephant Man for.
yeah, this was a couple years before Elephant Man.
Although none of this is as weird as the idea that Mel Brooks produced Elephant Man.
Now, I haven't put that movie on my watch list. I got to do that.
Then you might want to consider another Mel Brooks horror production, The Doctor and the Devils.
I have not seen that one. I am more familiar with Mel Brooks's comedies.
Oh, well, this is he got old Hammer and Amicus director Freddie Francis, who was the cinematographer on The Elephant Man, to come out of directing retirement to make a horror film for him based on the Burke and Hare Body Snatchers story.
Hmm.
So it uses an old script by I think it's Dylan Thomas who wrote the poem Under Milk Wood, and has Timothy Dalton in the lead role.
Interesting. What was the name of that movie again?
Doctor and the Devils.
Okay. Of course, my go-to Mel Brooks would be Young Frankenstein. Um, what are the other ones? Blazing Saddles is a classic.
The
Although
producers.
The Producers is a good one.
I always
Also
loved High
Baseball.
Anxiety, his Hitchcock spoof.
I ought to put a poll on for Hitchcock movies because I've been wanting to put a Hitchcock movie on the watch list. But there are so many to choose from. I think I'm going to get feedback to see what you guys all want to see. If you are a fan of Hitchcock.
I think I have an idea. I believe 1972's Frenzy would fit very well with the sort of films that get watched here.
So you wouldn't go for 1960s Psycho.
Ooh, I love Psycho, but I think Frenzy is one of his penultimate film, and it's a real return to form for him with a London serial killer thriller. Really grimy and disgusting, and absolutely marvelous.
Interesting. His filmography goes on forever.
Obviously,
Uh,
I would also agree with old Donny Jerrick that we need Cary Grant in North by Northwest.
North by Northwest was a classic. Let's see. Calbuck says, "Oh, The Trouble with Harry." Mad Matt Part One, History of the World Part One. That's another good Mel Brooks one. Eric did make a comment. Um, if you are looking for a more robust chat, we are in Discord. Um, I do have a link for it on my YouTube channel. If we need to, we can put the link again. Um, if you're interested, it's at the Retro and Pop Culture Fan Club Discord server, and you can put your memes, your gifs, your more of an animated reaction. But yeah, Hitchcock. What else? Oh yeah, we are now introduced to the baby, quote unquote, if that's
Hmm.
even what you would call it. I mean, to be fair, I mean I've had 3 kids. Newborns really
It,
don't look like real baby. I mean,
it's no more or less disgusting than most young children I've seen.
yeah, newborns don't look too pretty. I mean, they're newborns, but you gotta love them. But I
I
think
mean, if
Lynch
I were
was
guessing, I would say one of those creatures from the Dark Crystal was the father of that child.
my immediate reaction went to Belial in Basket Case, and just that horrid mutant baby that was never meant to be born, kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, as parents, don't we always have a fear that our baby is not going to be perfect and healthy, and we that's what we want for our kids. And there, Henry and Mary have a baby, whatever that is, or you know what it looks like? It looks like a mutated ET. That's what I also think of when I see that little baby, and I use
Worst,
that term loosely.
worst sci-fi movie ever.
So, yeah, I have no idea what he's pulling out of that little container. You can't even see it.
It
Is
looks
it?
like a maggot to me.
It looks like a worm or something. Ah, is that the true parent of that hideous little baby? He pulled it out of his pocket. Does that have anything to do with his questioning the origin of that baby?
You mentioned Belial in Basket Case. Is that a film that's had a watch party before?
We did. We had a watch party on Basket Case, and Belial was the mutated twin brother that got what cut off.
Because there is a great X Files episode that owes a hell of a lot to that film. I think probably Darian Morgan's first one he scripted that's set in a circus freak show where humbug, where someone's killing off various other performers and it turns out to be the conjoined twin of one of the other performers that can separate itself.
And that's what this little baby reminds me of.
And naturally, the big joke in it is that all the freak show performers think that David Duchovny's wonderfully handsome and lithe Fox Mulder is the real disgusting freak.
That's an interesting theme though. And we've seen that in quite a few movies where it's not the alien that's the horrid, wretched monster, it's the humans. Um, so that episode of X Files, was that from one of the seasons of the reboot?
No,
Do an episode?
it's something like about the third series, something like that. So it's when Darian Morgan is just starting to get involved and come up. Season 2, episode 20. Gods of
Okay. I might have to revisit the old X Files. Mad Matt asked, "Did we?" I must have missed Basket Case. I am 99% certain that we did. Um, I have I have my list of all the movies we've done, and I have them alphabetized.
So you'll probably find the Life Force on there twice.
There's a couple movies we had done twice. Yep. I think we did Basket Case 2 years ago.
I must have been away.
We did that. Oh my gosh, we did Basket Case back in 2020.
In that case,
Yep.
probably before I joined.
Yep. And okay, that's just my alphabetized list. And I have them in order of when we did it. But I think that was.
Oh, Mad Matt, you're mentioning this reminds you of two other movies you've not yet seen, Freaks and Spider Baby. Spider Baby is really good. Highly recommended. Jack Hill's movies are all great. Whether they're about dodgy things happening at the stock car track, high school girls getting involved with gangs, cheerleaders being bad, or a really weird family that murders people like Spider Baby, Jack
Nice.
Hill's all worth watching. Oh, and of course, the blaxploitation ones. Foxy Brown and Coffee. Pam Grier for the win.
Oh, Pam Grier, amazing. Okay, so Spider Baby. Wow, 1967.
Yep, Calbox just picked up the Arrow Blu-ray of it, which I highly recommend.
Nice.
Yeah, Arrow have got a nice little slate on their catalogue of these Jack Hill films. So like Spider Baby, Switchblade Sisters, Coffee, Foxy Brown, Reform School Girls.
Somehow I get the feeling Reformed Schoolgirls is not a highbrow kind of movie.
I would say none of Jack Hill's films are highbrow movies. They are all very well made exploitation movies.
And fun. I mean, who doesn't love a good bad movie? We just can't go around watching blockbusters all the time. Even though that would be a lot of fun, really. If I could just choose blockbuster after blockbuster for these watch parties. Um, but the trouble is, a lot of them are, 3 hours long, 2.5 to 3 hours long.
That is very much like the modern post 2020
Yeah.
curse. Hell comes to Frogtown. Oh yes, old Johnny Devick, Rowdy Roddy Piper, fertilizing the survivors of a nuclear holocaust.
Oh, Johnny Depp in Cry Baby. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that was isn't John that's a John Huston movie, isn't it? Or is that Chris Columbus? Am I thinking of the right one? 1990 or John Hughes?
I have a little list of John Hughes and
John
Chris
Waters.
Columbus requests.
Okay, John Waters is Cry Baby. Okay. Well, at least the action in this movie has kind of picked up a little bit, where Henry and
You,
Mary are trying to make a go of it to be parents. And I kind of feel for Mary with the baby's crying all the time. You just want sleep, and you want sleep so bad.
oh, Miss Swift, A Boy and His Dog. That's a great little film.
A Boy and His Dog.
It's a post-apocalyptic movie. I think it's Don Johnson living after a nuclear apocalypse, and he's got a dog he has a psychic link with, and they wander the post-apocalyptic scape together, looking for a woman for him to do things with, and meet various unpleasant post-apocalyptic things.
Very interesting. It's based on a novella by Harlan Ellison. Oh, and Harlan, of course, um, he wrote the one of the best episodes of Star Trek ever, Edge of Tomorrow.
Joan Collins.
Joan Collins. I believe that was the end of was it the end of the first season in Star Trek?
It's about three-quarters of a way through the first season.
First season,
The
yeah.
end of the first season is Operation Annihilate, where
Right.
Kirk goes to find where there's the wave of madness moving across the galaxy, and it's those alien parasites that fly at you. I mean, no, the first series of Star Trek is, I think, easily one of the best series of anything ever, because I don't think there's a single bad episode in it. There's one that's a bit boring, The Alternative Factor. Everything else is golden.
Well, there is in the Discord chat, Eric put up a GIF. What is going on? As in, what is going on in the movie?
Well, the dark crystal baby is producing slime.
Yeah, the baby's crying, keeping the parents up. Mom left. Mom wasn't getting any sleep. I've been there.
Who can blame her?
Days and days of not sleeping. I've, yeah. When my kids were young,
Yeah, I mean,
instead of putting
if the
them,
result of the shotgun marriage was you were left on your own with the mutant baby, be feeling pretty naffed off with things.
yeah, you do your best. When my two oldest were babies, were less than 2 years apart, instead of putting them in childcare all day, I decided to take care of them during the day and work at night. And I think there was probably a 6 month period where I don't think I slept. I must have, um, but it's
I'm,
without sleep,
I'm
it's
presuming
total
your children had like limbs and things and weren't just kept in a gauze bag.
right. So yeah, we don't even know if this mutant baby has arms or legs, but it's obviously at this point it's sick, and at least Daddy is trying to take care of it
It,
because
it would
Mom
appear to have a
was tired.
terminal case of measles.
Chickenpox, measles. Of course, what he should do is take him to a doctor, but he's probably thinking,
I've not got
what kind of
insurance, so I'll
doctor?
leave him to die.
What kind of doctor do I bring this baby slash mutant slash ET hybrid to? Well, again, this does touch on the theme of anxiety and parenthood. When your child gets sick, we've been there. All you parents out there, we've been there. Um, the panic, the worry. But it's, you know what, James, it's amazing. Eraserhead has not had to comb his hair, not once.
I don't remember in all the many seasons of Seinfeld I watched seeing
That's
Kramer
right.
in his hair.
And it's amazing looking at how nice his white shirt is. He's very cleanly dressed, but his room, his environment is very unkept.
Mm. Oh, Christ, there's another 40 minutes.
Yes, Eric, so Mom ran away. She did. She did. Oh, as a side note, the actress who played Mary, and her name escapes me, she, for any of the older generation like me, who grew up on Little House on the Prairie, that's the same actress who played the teacher, Miss Beadle, in the first couple seasons. Weird. This is weird casting, but she pulls it off. Oh, old Johnny Devitt, guinea pig series, Stay Away. Are you referring to the guinea pig movies, like the I think it was in the 80s, the kind of torture porn series, which was that was hardcore stuff. That it was really hardcore.
So we've gone from last week a Richard Gere movie with journaling to hardcore guinea pigs.
Yep. We are due for something lighter for next week, which we will obviously we'll mention at the end of today's movie. We'll get something fun, something lighthearted.
It's not light-hearted. It's a traumatic childhood nightmare about.
I'm up for it. Well, this is where all our inner traumas as children that we went through, they get resolved and played out in the movies. That's what drew me to the movies at such a young age, especially those ones with conflict, with the enemies, with fighting, with the sci-fi horror element.
He looks like he's thinking death would be a blessing to his.
So would this be classified as a horror or a thriller?
Well, it's not remotely thrilling, so I think we can put that out.
I think it's considered a horror, but it's I think for the late 70s, it's probably maybe that's where it has to land.
Hmm. Criterion says on their Blu-ray that it's a mesmerizing black and white, evocative sound design, unforgettably enigmatic performance, visionary nocturnal odyssey continues to haunt American cinema like no other film. So they don't commit to any genre.
Okay. Well,
Although the
just
18,
googling it's labeled a horror fantasy.
the 18 certificate and strong gory images would,
Ah.
however, suggest horror.
So this is the lady in the radiator. What she's doing in the radiator,
Dancing for the Worm.
dancing, and I think what she's gonna do to the worms is is part of Lynch's, I think, nightmarish, this expression of his nightmare. I think it's supposed to stand for, I think. Well, okay, no spoilers, because I know we're all riveted. Old Johnny Devick says it's Monica from Friends in a fat suit. That's great. Put her in a dark wig, and that's Monica. So the good thing is this is a very short movie.
Even if it doesn't feel like one.
It does feel like, yeah, we could pick up the pace and get the story told in a much shorter time.
I'm really
Yeah,
thinking that we're kind
Matt
of.
says it was at this point I was begging for the movie to end. It This is kind of lagging. We're waiting for some drama. We're waiting for something to happen.
It makes Dances with Wolves look pacey.
Yeah. So I think this scene would be considered a dream within a dream because it's bringing Mary back, but she's not back really. Well, luckily we have less than a half hour left.
Oh, hang on. I just need to vanish for a second.
That's all right, James. I don't think you're going to miss anything. So this movie, when I was saying it's a shoestring budget, for the day, 100,000, uh, making over the box office. It says 7 million, which is a very good rate of return back in the day. Um, you can't. I can't really tell where the money would have been spent, other than probably the effects. Um,
Back from the rain.
so this theme of
The money certainly
worms,
wasn't spent on the lighting.
yeah, it's at these points where it's just so dark that I'm almost thinking I'm missing something. And so in the shadows, you start looking in the shadows, in the corners. Um, but I think he purposely made it so dark so that any of the light coming through would be that much more amplified. Oh yeah, Cowbot says 90% of the budget was for puppets. And probably some of that the visual effects that we've seen.
I told you the baby was in Dark Crystal. Quality subtitles here. Squeaking
Squeaking
continues.
continues. So I think I can universally say that anytime I watch a David Lynch movie, TV show, whatever it is, I always come away thinking that was weird without fail. That was weird. So either it's good weird or bad weird, sometimes depends on if I go back and watch it again. And I could wrap my head around some of the elements that he was trying to kind of tell us and pull some of these things together.
Well, I think with some of it, like Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks, the weirdness is kind of about what lies behind what we see as normality. Yes, so there is no real normality. So in Twin Peaks, you've got what appears to be this idyllic town with a cheerleader and everything else, except she's a cocaine addict prostitute and everyone's running rape gangs and it's terrible. The thing is, with something like this, at this stage, he's not putting in any of the normal frames of reference to help us kind of then go beyond that to see the weird. It's just the weird. So it'd be a bit like if you edited Twin Peaks, so you just had Bob and the Red Lodge and nothing else.
That would be weird.
That's what this is.
Yeah. It's still very Lynch-esque.
Now, if Mad Matt is saying he's learning a second language because he has Portuguese subtitles on his version of this, I would like to recommend to him in that case Arrow's recent Blu ray release of Leslie Stevens' film Incubus, starring a pre-Star Trek William Shatner, in which all the dialogue is said in Esperanto. So
That's right, 1966.
you could not only learn a new language watching that film, but learn a fictional language.
Very interesting.
Weird language issues aside, I do recommend people watch that film. It's very atmospheric and haunting.
And that is also labeled as a horror.
And it's always good to see a bit more Shatner.
Well, that was a very interesting choice of him to do back there.
Well, I imagine that people who actually spoke Esperanto would probably be horrified by all the pronunciation in it, because you've not got a single person who knows the language. And there are lots of shots in the film where people are sort of facing off in a direction like this, which I'm sure has been staged so that someone can stand out of camera with an idiot board with their dialogue on.
So if he did that in 66, that was probably right around the time that he did Star Trek.
I think it was what he did right before Star Trek.
Well, at least in our movie, something is happening, and he's got this neighbor really
Is,
coming on to him.
is the neighbour that tiny kind of grey thing next to him on this black screen?
It is very dark, and you have to struggle to make out what's going on. This is just very dark.
She obviously wants a dark crystal baby too.
Well, so obviously at this point we see Henry uh, maybe a little bit unhappy being a father to a mutant baby, and his neighbor would happily oblige a little, something something on the side. So Mad Matt, if this movie has Portuguese subtitles, um, it does give you a chance to really read it and understand it. This movie just does not have a lot of dialogue, and it's spaced out.
Can I just ask, is it better in Portuguese?
It's probably he probably understands it. He probably understands it a bit better than we do. I'm guessing, right, Matt? Oh, I love these gifs you guys are doing on Discord. Oh, Fraglord over in Discord was saying Pomple and Pit gave children nightmares.
No idea what Pompel and Pilt are.
Where are you from, Fraglord? Was that a children's show? And Eric was saying we had this in the Netherlands. It was from a show called
Pompel og
Pilt.
Pilt. Characters from a Norwegian children's show called something I can't possibly pronounce because it's written in Norwegian. The Repairmen Are Coming. Yeah, they do look pretty scary.
Yeah, Fragler was saying it's in Norway. That's bizarre. Isn't it just universal that as children we just had the most bizarre shows?
None of this is remotely as scary as Pipkins. Pump Pipkins or Hartley Hare into your search engine and you will see the most terrifying children's puppet known to man.
Okay, hold on. All right, give it to me again, James.
Pipkins. Pipkins. And you should have a picture of what looks like a roadkill puppet.
Pipkins Show. Pipkins, originally known as Pipkin, is a British children's TV program from 1973 to 1981.
And have you got a picture of Hartley Hare there?
Hartley Hare. Let's see if I can. Can I put it? I'm still learning this program, Evie Mux. If I had a picture, I'd put it up and show you all.
I can find a nice link to an image of him.
You know what?
In the chat.
Well, I could put it up in Discord. There you go. Hartley Hare.
Proper English terrifying puppet.
There we go. Okay. Yep, there you go. Yep, you got it. That looks like a mangled sock turned inside out.
As I say, a roadkill rabbit.
Yes. Boy, you know what? I had to reach out to Andrew because he had this program down pat. He brought that nightmarish image of, anybody remember that Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy? That nightmare image? Oh, jeez. Yeah, I'm going to learn how to do that in this program. Yeah, bear with me. Bear with me. I'm slowly learning it, and as I have time, I'm going to get it all gussied up.
So was our hero Kramer gone to what appears to be, I would call it the Red Lodge, but it's black and white. So the black and white lodge.
I think he's still in the radiator. Oh yeah, this is another little horror element. A paper mache head, it looks like. Okay, so Eric also posted this is Carbuncle. Boy, that's just horrific. I remember as a kid I would watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, Tennessee Tuxedo, Underdog. Oh yeah, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I watched that Sesame Street Electric Company. Never really horrific images, but looking back, I could probably pull a couple up. So yeah, this is an interesting scene, okay? So his head kind of flew off and no idea what the hell is going to be going on here. But this kid just picks up the head like it's just normal. Eric, who else is going to have a nightmare? I might have a Lynch inspired nightmare with just crazy, you know what, all night. I probably won't wake up screaming though, but it's just bizarre.
I think I might watch something nice and wholesome to help me get to sleep, like The Exorcist.
Like, or Texas Chainsaw.
The Omen.
Something to kind of take the edge off. Yeah,
Did
nice,
they ever
wholesome.
did they ever do an Omen watch party?
No, no,
That
that
would
I don't
that
recall.
would be a good one because that goes like a freight train.
Oh, that just, oh, ho, ho, ho. The Omen will grab you and never let go. And I think I have not watched the remake. I think, didn't they remake a
They did
couple
a
of
remake
Omens?
in 2006 that's basically completely pointless because
Yeah.
the script is literally so identical that it's still credited to David Seltzer. They did do a prequel last year, The First Omen, which is designed to cause confusion because you're talking about The Omen, which is the first Omen, but the First Omen is the prequel to The Omen. But the First Omen was actually quite good.
Well, the original is always the best. Always.
I think the only one they might have done would have been The Omen 3, just because that was in one of the In Search of Darkness documentaries in the book. Even if
Yeah,
it,
that was the final conflict that had Sam Neill in it.
yeah,
That would be a really interesting one to have, The Omen.
I mean, The Omen is one of those films like Rosemary's Baby, where so much of the stuff that's in our popular culture about what the devil is and what Satanism is and so forth all comes from those two films and not anything else.
The beauty of those movies is not just the skill in the filmmaking of that subject matter, but it really is in your face. Um, and whatever your religious beliefs are, as a movie, they are very well done.
Oh yeah. Well, I think with The Omen, there was always this debate in the production team that Richard Donner didn't want it necessarily to be obvious that what was going on was supernatural. He wanted it could be, it could all just be accidents. Whereas David Seltzer and the producers were all, no, it's the devil.
I think that's really the way to go. If you're going to have a movie like that, you need to address it head on and say this is what it is, and you let the repercussions happen.
But again, it's like this: you get a film like that that's successful, and then you get, as you'd expect, all the imitators. So it's like Charlton Heston was originally offered the Gregory Peck role in The Omen and turned it down. And so he tries to get back doing something similar with the Mummy movie, The Awakening, directed by a chap who actually did Four Weddings and a Funeral, which is basically the Bram Stoker story, The Jewel of the Seven Stars. But because The Omen was a hit, it's now got bolted on a load of Omen style killings of people.
Yeah, those. It's been a while since I've watched The Omen, but there's some classic kills in that movie.
Well, there's David Warner's head.
Yep, The Nanny. some good kills in the second one too.
And we're doing it for you.
Oh, for you, Damien. Ah, that's another poll I should put up there. How do you word something like that? Best portrayal of Satan, best presentation, best demonic movie. But yeah, I want to do a Hitchcock. What else? What else? What else did I say? Oh, James Bond. Yep, we've got to put a James Bond movie
Now, they
on the watch party.
Andrew and Dom, am I imagining that they did do a James Bond movie?
They don't. No, I don't think we did a James
You
Bond.
sure they didn't do Moonraker?
Okay, let me get. Oh boy, there's so many James Bond movies. Okay, yeah, maybe someone in the chat. I don't remember any James Bond.
I
No
thought they
Hitchcock.
might have done Moonraker.
We talked about Moonraker quite a bit, but no.
Well, I'm totally up for Moonraker.
Well, this watch party is for movie lovers, all decades, all eras, all genres. So I'm up for the good, the bad, the ugly. How about a Western? I love
Oh,
good
Johnny
Westerns.
Depp, good Bond pick there. The Spy Who Loved Me.
The
We like
Spy
to
Who
we,
Loved
we,
Me.
we,
That's
we
good.
like to see 007 keeping the British end up.
Yeah, I've been neglecting my polls on the YouTube channel, but yeah, I've got a couple ideas of the ones that I want to do and get the feedback on what would be your favorite Hitchcock, your favorite James Bond. So, what is going on with Henry? Henry's still struggling to be a father.
I'm fascinated by the plant he's got next to his bed that doesn't have a pot. It's just a pile of earth and a plant.
It's just dirt. And this is the whole theme in his world, in his room. It's a mess. It's a disaster. Okay, so in the chat, Mad says any which way but loose. See, we've got we've got some Clint Eastwood fans, and old Johnny Devick says I think I like Goldeneye the most. Okay,
Clint Eastwood, I would be very keen on any of the Dirty Harry films.
Dirty Harry. See, trouble is we only have 52 weeks in a year to 50 movies. That's it.
If you're thinking long term, there are lots of 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're doing this long term. As long as we have an audience, as long as you guys show up, I will keep doing this, and we'll keep improving the format, improving everything.
Oh, the Deadpool is such a
Deadpool,
ridiculously
yes,
daft movie.
Yes, and of course the
Dirty
Harry
Harry
one.
meets Jim Carrey and Liam Neeson.
How about the Deadpool versus Deadpool crossover? That'd be great.
Keep checking the running time to see if anything's going to happen.
So I keep expecting Henry to go into some kind of, well, yeah, he will go into like this spiral, this downward spiral. I think what we're seeing is everything's going to start unraveling.
Or old Johnny Devick suggesting Where Eagles Dare, which would be a nice one to have towards Christmas time, because with all
Ooh.
that alpine ice, it's a Christmassy movie. Because nothing says Christmas like Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood machine gunning Nazis.
Oh, ho, ho. We could make that a Christmas movie.
And if only our troops had actually had Clint Eastwood's machine gun, they would never have run out of bullets. It would have been amazing.
I think what we might have to do around the holidays, we've got the big ones coming up. We have Halloween and Christmas, big time for movies. We might have to extend maybe October as the month for Halloween movies, and December will be for Christmas movies. I've got so many
Special
on my list.
Thanksgiving request for planes, trains, and automobiles.
Of course.
We,
Of
we,
course. That is a classic.
we need to fit some John Candy movies that aren't Spaceballs into things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Johnny Devick says Trick and Treat is a good Halloween. Didn't we do that?
We did Trick or
Trick.
Treat.
Oh, okay. Our treat. Okay.
I think there's a 80s one called Trick and Treat. Trick or Treat was the 90s or 2000s anthology about the little pumpkin head doll.
Dad, that's not the one we did, right?
Trick or Treat is the one we did.
Okay. Yep. Trick or Treat, the 2007 one.
That's the baby.
Okay. So, interesting twist on Henry.
He's decided to see if the baby has arms and legs.
I think that he's trying to help the baby.
He's left it a little late to change the nappy for the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time he's attempted to change the diaper. So he has a good intention. Oh, Poltergeist, I think we did, Eric, right? Poltergeist. We did Poltergeist.
I'm pretty certain they did Poltergeist, yeah.
So Henry is now concerned that he did something wrong to the baby. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I think all those internal organs being external would imply he did something wrong.
Yes, and that would also imply that these bandages were probably his skin. And Henry didn't know it.
And then probably stabbing those internal organs was bad.
Yeah. Well, again, this is part of the whole parenting, the anxiety, the
Just remind
fear
me not
of
to
being
have
a
Kramer from Seinfeld over to do childcare at any point.
parent. So I think what you're saying, James, is the moral of the story is don't let Kramer from Seinfeld babysit.
Yep, that's pretty. Or for that matter, any of the characters from Seinfeld.
Don't let them babysit. Oh,
In fact, especially not George.
George Costanza. Oh yeah, Eric posted a GIF on Seinfeld. Kramer. Oh, and Newman. That's not George. That's Newman.
Look, we all know Newman was one of the unfortunate casualties at Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of deserved it.
Even if he then got witness protection as Officer Don on Third Rock from the Sun.
He was on Third Rock from the Sun. Interesting side note about the streaming and the binge watching of shows these days. Remember back before we had VCRs, before we could record anything, and you would watch one episode a week? Well, I tried watching Third Rock from the Sun a couple months ago, binging it, and I couldn't get through it because it was just too much, one after the other after the other. Back in the day, that was one of my favorite shows. And it's just too much in one sitting. But back then, we'd do one episode every week, and that was enough. Then you had something to look forward to. So, just my take on binging sometimes.
I loved Third Rock from the Sun. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's great.
but my thing about binging is you get your 13 episode series or whatever shows up on Netflix in one go. Boom, you've watched it in 3 days. Then you've got to wait 2 to 3 years for the next new episode.
Yeah. And there is something to be said for the good old days where you had to wait. And there was that anticipation. You look forward to the episode, and it was
It
a
was
good
also
pacing.
a more communal experience
Yeah.
because you had fewer channels to watch. When I was growing up, we only had 3 channels on the television.
Yeah.
So,
Matt also mentioned that we had 3 channels. Yeah, I remember the 3 channels. That was before Fox. Fox became
so
the
with,
Fox
you know,
network.
so it was in the 80s we got up to 4 here with Channel 4.
Hmm.
But so it meant that we were all watching the same things. So you would what you in the States called the water cooler moment, where
Yeah.
you'd all get together the next day at work and say,
Yep.
"Did you see those mutant babies on Eraserhead last night? What the hell was going on?"
Yep. And
Then
in the
you'd find out
90s,
no one else knew either.
that was what made Twin Peaks so enjoyable for me. I think it came on Thursdays, if I remember correctly, and then Friday at work, we would all be talking about the episode of Twin Peaks.
Either my Blu-ray player. Oh no, it's finished. It's
It's over. See, we were having such a great discussion that we missed the ending, and I think Henry went mad. But we all go a little mad
Typically, he
sometimes.
was mad all along.
He was mad all along. What part of this was Henry's nightmare? What part of this was Lynch's nightmare? And I
It
think we
was
can
all
agree
my
this was
waking
all ours.
nightmare.
It just there you go. So yeah, Eric says yeah, the main character was on an LSD trip. That's maybe he was and Lynch was when he wrote it. It was our nightmare, old Johnny Devick. We all shared it together. So there you have it. Like it or love it, I am so glad you guys came on this journey with us today. Thank you, James, for coming.
Emergency replacement co-host.
Yep.
Not rushing to watch Eraserhead again.
Yeah. Well, my original co-host had to bow out, but it's okay. He'll come back. You know, feel a little better, Alex. Um, and so James, you will be here next week, correct?
I have, for the first time, got to pick a movie, and
Yes.
I'm hoping it will be a blast for everyone.
That's
It's,
what I'm saying. It's going to be a blast.
it's the middle of Toby Hooper's trilogy for canon films. First he did Life Force. Later he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But in the middle, he had a passion project. Invaders from Mars.
Great choice. I am so excited. Looking forward to it. Um, so, yeah, I mean, so what else can we say about this movie except, yeah, Miss Swift says now I can say I've seen it mostly. There it is. Um, yeah. So, okay, again, anybody have any final thoughts they want to throw out? I'll give a shout out, and we will. That's weird. That was weird, man. That was a weird movie.
Oh, old Johnny Derrick, it does what it says on the tin next week. You've got no doubt what the movie is about.
Hmm. Yep. And yeah, it's going to be a great, fun movie. Great. Matt says it's another DVD he owns. Fantastic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And thank you all for coming today. Spread the word and get more people in the chat. We'll liven it up.
Yeah,
So, any
and
final thoughts?
be kind and nice to people and stuff like that. It's all a bit saccharine.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We ought to come up with a tagline that Andrew and Dom had. We will. Everything will evolve. But yeah, that's a really good sentiment. Spread goodness in your
How
life,
about
spread goodness
live,
in the world.
live another week without putting you or anyone you know through extra?
That's a good one. And with those parting words, thank you all for joining
Yes,
and for
Mad
being
Matt, it's the Toby Hooper remake, not the 50s one.
right. It's the remake. Although maybe one of these times we will get to one of the original ones. 1950s is not off limits, guys. If there's a classic movie we ought to do, shout out.
Invaders of the Body Snatchers!
See, there you go. We've got a ton. We've got a lot
There.
of the classic creature movies from the 50s to go. We've got Godzilla. We've got, we can go on. So, all righty. Well, once again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, James, for filling in, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.